And hello again, and here we are back in my garage on the first nice day for the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks. So I've taken the chance to come in here, do a bit of work, and obviously do a bit of filming. So the first thing we can talk about today is not my Kawasaki 1170 here, but the Mark II behind me. Because the other day I popped over to see Les, who's building me the engine, and we sort of went through a few things that need to be done, decided what kind of gearbox it's having and so on, and also just to see, you know, how things are going. So we'll now jump over to Les's place, because I did some filming when I was there, and we'll catch up on what's happening with the Mark II 400cc engine.
About 2 hours, and we've come to go up and my hips were locked.
Yes, you can't move.
I'm like, shit,
yes.
I need someone to pull this off.
Right, we'll begin. Right, Les, here we are in your colder side of the workshop.
Yes.
And you've been busy for hours and hours and hours prepping my crankcases.
The Mark II cases that you had that I took for powder coating for you.
Yes, and have been sitting around for a while.
Yeah.
And now the engine build's beginning. And one issue you've had is that all of the threaded holes were full of grit and God knows what else.
And all the whole stud holes as well.
Yeah.
Full of powder coat.
Clean it all out one by one.
Yeah.
And then you see
hours
and hours and hours. And then the actual faces have got some sort of yellow.
When they've masked them up.
Yeah.
With masking tape, and then they've put the cases in the oven, this glue or whatever it is has gone like glass.
Yeah. Can't leave that on, so you're going to use wet and dry or whatever.
Yeah, but you've got to get it off without damaging the aluminium gasket face.
Of course, yeah.
It's you can't go at it.
So I think you've had about a few hours into these cases so far.
About 3 into this one, and the other one about 5.
5, yeah. So not cheap, but it needs doing. So that's the lower crankcase half.
Yes.
That's almost done now. But you have already done the upper crankcase half, because that's the place where you build the crank into.
That's right.
And that's next door.
Yeah.
In the nice warm side.
Yeah.
Where my cup of tea is.
In the clean room.
In the clean room. So we'll go next door now and see that one.
Okay.
Okay, so we've come inside now into the warm side of your workshop.
Yeah.
And there's the upper crankcase. Which you spent, again, a lot of time on. It's now beautifully clean, prepped. All the threaded holes are cleared and cleaned. Yeah. And it's ready to go.
All the oilways have been cleaned out.
Yeah. And indeed, this is what we do, isn't it? You build the engine from the... Yeah. From this side, upside down, effectively.
Install the cylinder studs, then it's cam chain, crankshaft in, crank cap, gearbox, and then top crankcase.
Yeah,
you've got to fit the clutch to the input shaft as well, from 10,000.
Yes, yeah. So those cylinder studs, I think they're heavy duty. Did the bike already have them in?
Yeah, they're the heavy duty ones.
So we've already got them.
There you go.
So you clean them up and put them in.
Well, I clean the joint face before I put the studs in.
Yes.
It makes it easier.
But we can't continue because there's still some things to get which we're short of.
Yeah.
So things like a heavy duty cam chain.
Heavy duty cam chain. There's also APE make a crankshaft support cap plate.
I want one of them. Yeah.
Which is that's the cap that holds the crankshaft in.
Yes.
And you machine that off so it's flat, and then there's a steel plate
that bolts on top of it,
and it just gives this more strength,
a bit more rigidity.
Stops the crank from
we need one of them.
Whip. Yeah.
What else do we need? We need some crankcase bolts as well. I think that might be
another visitor.
Yes. All right. We'll soon finish.
We need instead of crank bolts, original bolts. APE do a main bearing stud kit, casing bolts. So there's 12 studs going here. Yep. And 12 nuts, obviously. Yep.
So
they're about to be ordered today.
Yes. And also I think we're short on one part from the gearbox.
Yeah, I've gone through the gearbox components. This selector torque is damaged,
worn out. So
we need one of those.
We'll get one of them from Mr. Kawasaki, and once that arrives, we can begin with the build.
There's also another problem that this original engine had a Mark I gearbox.
Yes.
Not as good as a Mark II.
No.
But I've got a Mark II box down there out of my original bike.
Yes.
But it's done about 44,000 miles, which is not a lot. But I don't know whether to just inspect and fit, or maybe just change all the bearings. You can get upgraded bearings on the shafts if you were drag racing it. But
I don't know. I'll leave it up to you.
it's very rare that you need to change them.
No.
To be honest.
So which is the best option? Because I don't really know.
It's a Mark II engine. I would put Mark II box in. Everything standard.
Okay, we'll
everything
go for that.
standard. Because you're not drag racing it or anything, are you?
But it'll get you. So yeah, we'll go for Mark II.
Well, the box is well strong enough to handle the extra capacity.
Good. So we'll do that then, and then we can move on.
Yeah.
Okay, is that it?
More or less. There is one thing that I've not discussed with you. You can put the later GPZ style gearbox in, but you have to put an adapter bearing here, which is
I think I'd rather keep it as a Mark II, to be honest. Keep everything.
You're not putting 300, 400, 500 horsepower out of it.
No.
You're not drag racing it, so. The standard box is more than capable.
One day when we're long gone and somebody takes that engine apart, if you ever do so, what the hell's this? Is not the right part.
All we're really doing with this motor is putting a big bore kit on it.
Yes. And also the head, of course. The head.
A bit more power, a bit more torque.
Yeah, bigger carbs.
Yeah. Make it breathe a bit better, but we're not going silly with it.
No. Right, good. So that's that then.
Okay.
And it's now time for more tea, I think.
More tea.
Great stuff. And so, as you can see, things are going okay with the Mark II engine. But there are some delays because some parts haven't arrived yet. And in fact, that's a problem for my 1170 project too. But before we get to that, I've got a little job to do today, which I've just finished doing, which is to measure some distances between the faces of the engine and this sprocket, this offset sprocket we made, this 1-inch sprocket here, and the outrigger, which as you can see I've still not fitted because the first time I did it, it leaked oil, and so I made a new gasket for it, and I've just not got around to trying it out yet. And before I fitted, I thought, oh hang on, there's something I've forgotten that I need to do. And the something I forgot was to make a shaft to fit inside the outside, outside, to fit to the outside of this sprocket, which goes out to the support bearing on this outer plate here. I haven't done that yet, and I thought, oh hang on, before I start fitting it all back on the bike again, we should do that. So I've taken some measurements to work out the exact length it needs to be and so on, and so now I've got to go over to see Jeff sometime today and take my measurements, and hopefully we'll come up with a plan and make it. Things are a bit tricky though, because the shaft goes into this recess on the sprocket, but also in there is the bolt that holds it onto the gearbox output shaft, so be careful there we don't get in the way of that particular bolt. And I think what we might have to do is perhaps widen out this hole a wee bit if we can. Not sure how much meat's on this this sprocket, but yeah, it's a bit tricky, but to make sure we don't make any mistakes and screw up this sprocket, which took a long time to make. Anyway, so that's that. And so moving on then to a problem I've got with parts of the bike, except it's not a part, it's paint. Because I spoke to Mark the painter the other day, who promised me the paintwork back by now. Oh no, she's not here yet. And that's because he's already done all the prep for the paint, done all the undercoat, but he can't yet paint the base coat, the main colour of the bike. And that's because he's had the pigment he needs to make the paint on back order for about 6 weeks, and he's still not here. Normally it comes in a week or two, but obviously there are problems with the supply chains and so on. It's just not here yet. So I had a chat with him, and he said, well look, one option is to change the colour we agreed on, and I'll paint it a slightly different tone, a slightly different colour, and I'll get some paint maybe that I've already got in stock. So I thought, oh hang on, not sure about that, because it took us about 2 hours of going through a vast quantity of different paint panels and different paint examples to come up with the 3 or 4 that we thought would work together on the bike. And I really don't want to change that, so I'm quite happy to wait another, who knows, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, who knows, until that paint arrives and you can paint the bike the colour we agreed. It's quite a different sort of colour, I guess. It's like a mica kind of base colour, a bit sort of, well, I wouldn't say it's glitter, I wouldn't say it's metal flake, but it's something like that. So we'll wait, and hopefully it gives me more time to sort out any other issues with the bike before the paintwork arrives. I want to get it working first, of course. So my original intention was to get the bike on the road running well by April the 1st, kind of appropriate, April Fool's Day. And that's when, by that time, usually all the salt and grit's off the road, so you can ride the damn thing without worrying about either freezing to death or getting the bike covered in salt. So that's still the plan. And we've got, what, February, March to get that done. So yeah, that's the state of play with 1170. As I say though, I've got to now take these parts off to Jeff's workshop, and we'll come up with a plan, and hopefully he can make me the outrigger sort of shaft that needs to go on here to make it all worthwhile and make it all work. And that's where I'm going next, so we'll catch up when I'm at Jeff's. And now here I am, back from visiting Jeff, and indeed, like me today, he's decided it's far too cold to be in his workshop, particularly when he's run out of gas to heat it. So we didn't do any filming, but we agreed on what needs to be done to make that output shaft support, and hopefully he'll do it sometime in the week. So yeah, that's that really. Nothing more to report because it's bloody cold in here. On my drive back from Jeff's about an hour ago, my car said it was -2, so by now it's dark, it's probably -3 or 4, who knows. So I think we'll call it quits there, but a lot of things are happening in the background that I can't show you yet, and hopefully next week or two we can start making some real progress on these various projects. So anyway, thanks for watching and cheers.